One of the first stories I can share that I really remember having a huge impact on me as a father to want to be a better dad was I have a son that when he was in the first grade, I remember my wife and I were driving home, and I can't remember which one of us said, just a small swear word, nothing crazy. But I remember looking back and he was crying. And I said, why are you crying, son? What's going on? He says, well, you or mom just said a word you shouldn't have said, and it hurt my feelings, and I'm sad about that. And as he was crying, we just kind of talked it through, and I remember making a pretty strong commitment. I was going to never swear again. I didn't want him to experience that. Well, fast forward now to junior high. Same kid, his first year in junior high, and I'm at a family party, and as I walk over, my sister-in-law, who lives just by us, came up and says, "Did you hear what Payson did on the bus today?" And as we're talking, she just explained it wasn't, I don't think, a huge deal, but he had sworn on the bus on the way home from school. And years earlier, here's a kid that was crying over swearing, and now he's swearing on the bus. And so I remember as a dad initially really wanting to get after him, really kind of yell at him and kind of, "Dad, we don't do this in our home, we don't swear," and almost maybe even swear it into him, like we don't do this here. And I sat down and I was part of the Gentleman Project and was trying to be a better dad. And as I sat down and was talking to some friends, and initially talked to a couple of guys and really didn't get much help, and then I sat down and talked to my wife. And as we talked, I just said, I really feel strongly that I need to be real with my son and really explain to him my history and maybe some things about myself. So I sat down with him and I said, "Hey, son, when I was your age, I used to swear all the time. It was a problem I had, and it was something I had to really work through. And your dad needs your help. I'd really like to stop swearing. I'd appreciate if you would help me to be a better father, to be a better man and a better gentleman and not swear. Is that something you can help me with?" And as I kind of shared that with him, he kind of looked at me and teared up a little bit and just says, "Dad, I've been swearing. I don't think I can help you. I probably need your help." And I just basically said to him, "How about we team up and just be friends? I'll be your buddy and we'll just not swear together." And we kind of formed this pact as father and son that we wouldn't swear anymore, and kind of put some punishments out there. I think the punishment at the time was if I swore, he'd punch me in the shoulder, and same thing for him. And he changed. Within days, he kind of changed in general, not just swearing, but all things in that area. He spoke more kindly. He was just a much more kind person. And I think our goal was to just speak respectfully and kindly towards people. And it's been a huge change between he and I and a lot of other people too. I've noticed I swore a lot more than I thought I did, honestly. It was something, and I don't think it's a huge deal everyone maybe needs to worry a lot about, but in my life that was a big deal of being a gentleman, was speaking with kindness towards people, speaking in a way that showed respect to everyone around me. And I learned really quickly as a dad, number one, I have to believe in myself. I have to believe strongly that I can be a good dad, even though it's hard, because there's no breaks from this. And you actually have to change. You can't necessarily always be who you are and be that example of a real dad and a gentleman that you want to be. And I had to ask his help to change something in my life I really wanted to change, because I didn't want him to develop that habit that I'd had in my life. Secondly, I realized really quickly that we need friends. We need people to help us. I'm in a group of men now that we work together to help each other, and that's one thing they help me on as well. So in addition to my son, these men also help me to speak kindly and to speak with respect at all times. And then thirdly, I had to spend a lot of time just getting trained, learning how to control some of those urges and speak in a different way. But I've noticed my son has become a gentleman. And that's really the big part of it, is I want to make sure he didn't have to relive that part of my life that I've had to work through and grow through. And for me, it's been difficult to overcome this because it was a habit. It was something I had to work through. But for him, I can see that he broke through that kind of generational barrier that we've had in our family for years. And it's something I don't think he'll struggle with. I think that's part of being a real dad, is you have to, you can't say, "Do as I say." And that's probably the hardest thing sometimes, is realizing that we have to hold ourselves to a high standard, which is very difficult.